Oh, by the way, have you noticed that um, Rubio's name has changed from Rubio second tone to Rubio
Right,
third
he's
tone?
banned from China. It's like Brad Pitt being banned from China whenever he made 7 Years in Tibet. Remember that?
Yeah,
And I mean, he's just recently been able to go back to China. And then here's Rubio. Rubio goes with Trump, and then very quickly, the Chinese officials scrambling around
yeah,
trying to get him back on the books,
yeah. What in my
but
opinion,
not losing face.
yeah,
That Rubio to Rubio.
Lu,
They didn't lose face.
Lu,
They're not
Lu.
going to.
So from second tone to a third tone,
And
falling,
and
rising,
suddenly
third
Mark
tone.
Rubio is a new man. He might not even be
Right,
Cuban anymore to the Chinese.
right.
A Cuban
Um,
background.
well, every time you talk with news reporters, it mention about Cuba. But anyhow, what I'm suspecting is their electronic system vetting people using people's names. So Rubio has been on the blacklist, so they have to change.
What I want to know,
First
you go to
character
China,
into
everywhere you look, there are cameras. There's surveillance
Yeah,
everywhere.
right.
So, did they change the surveillance? Because he would show up in their databases as Mark Rubio, the first Mark Rubio, first tone there,
Yeah.
rather than the third
Sure,
tone.
they can merge the data sets. I'm sure. I'm not surprised that they have the most
If
civilian cameras because they're the biggest manufacturing country right now.
if you jaywalk in China,
Yeah.
it can change your score. Your score to buy a house, to buy a car, and so you have to be so careful what you do. And they can actually stop you getting any money if you're out of line too much. So you have to be very careful. Surveillance is probably bigger in China than anywhere else in the world. And I thought it interesting, in China when I left, they were starting to have stores where you go in and there's like a self checkout, that kind of thing, because there's just surveillance cameras everywhere. And I noticed that's coming to the U.S. It's in Britain too, where you have all these self checkout stores.
Yeah.
And now you go in CVS, Walgreens, and all of those. There's a self checkout counter if you want it. And you go to Walmart, you can self check out. And why is that possible? It's surveillance. And eventually, there won't be any need for anyone to work in those
Well, I
stores.
heard something opposite.
Because they
that,
can connect
to
your
prevent
credit
people-
card and your bank score
They already had those.
to where they don't need human. They just AI will do it automatically.
There is Palantir company. Palantir, I don't even heard of it.
Yeah, I've
It
heard
was
of
like $30 per share. It went up to 133 last time I checked 5 minutes ago. This company collects almost all kinds of information. So if you violated the traffic, they're able to know your bank account and how much money has balance there. So we're already under surveillance. It just they don't let us know. And on the surface, there's still a bit of rights and right to privacy, right to
Eventually,
freedom of speech.
eventually, we'll all have an allotted amount of money based on your education,
Right.
whatever AI decides the criteria to be. And if you're given so much money, and you go over a certain amount within a monthly period, you might be, arrested even. If it's like it is in China already.
Well,
You couldn't buy an airplane ticket. You would have to stay home where you wouldn't be out spending money. I mean, there's just so many things. You can't run and hide anymore. Where would you go? There's no place to hide. With satellite technology and, GPS and all these things, they say we're under surveillance about 17 hours out of a 24-hour day if you live in any city of any size.
well, depends on the data in whose hands. right now because we don't have any means to say no as it's automatically being collected. So it is what it is. Again, this is all I heard about, and I'm not knowing 100% for sure that all the data points of each individual have been stored in the national database.
But do you think, in feudal times there were the elites, the king and the court, and then everybody else was serfs. And in the Middle Ages, you started to get people with skills and that kind of thing. It looks like we're going back to that.
Well, history repeats.
We're all to be serfs, and the robots will be doing all the work. And the elites will, like in China, the CCP, they're the elites. They control the banks, the utilities, everything. Everything's controlled by them. And you might get a little bit of money and forced to live in one of those cave dwellings, those skyscrapers. And I see that coming here too. So many people can't afford to buy a home anymore.
I don't like the skyscrapers. You put it inside of a box.
But think of your generation. I mean, your generation can't afford to buy a house anymore. I mean, most people, unless you're in the $80,000 to $100,000 a year salary.
Even if you make that money,
range.
Buying a house is totally a big financial decision. That people should weigh it heavily in their decision making when they.
But they should have the right to decide and the money to
decision
do
making.
so if they've worked all their life.
Well,
it's like it's being arranged that you can't do that anymore by AI.
Have you
and all
heard
the
the new
elites.
study in Texas, Dallas, or Austin, that renting apartment price rent is going down year after year, is more and more favorable to rent than own. Young people can rent houses first, apartments, and save money, or they can live with their parents. I know it's not a traditional that young people live with their parents, but it's a coping mechanism. If they live with their parents, they can save, considerable amount of money, otherwise spending on rent. So that is something. But anyhow, I'm gonna cut this off, and that's our second conversation.
再见。
拜拜。